How are you guys? Welcome back to Wargaming China. Well, here we are, back at Hei Fei on the 14th of May 1938, and it's Chinese turn 6, and what I thought would be an 8 or 10 turn game, and Chinese morale has finally collapsed, and the Japanese will now sweep into the town and take the station, and then continue with the advance to Suzhou, which will fall on the 21st of May 1938. So let's have a look at the game. So this game, I've got to be honest with you, this game I started and I played two turns. I started on the third Japanese turn and then realized I'd done something really stupid. Now, this is a Japanese Lloyd Infantry Regiment, and if you've been watching this channel, I very rarely, I think this is the first game where I fielded the entire a full Japanese Lloyd Infantry Regiment. And you see, because I'm so used to playing Japanese infantry regiments, I forgot when I started playing that in rapid fire rules, which is the rules I basically use, a Japanese infantry regiment of triangular type is 66 figures per battalion and over 200 figures for the regiment. However, for a Lloyd Infantry Regiment, it's 45 figures for a battalion and just over 150 figures for our regiment. So, because I started off as if I was an infantry regiment, which has had a lot more support than a Lloyd Infantry Regiment, I had to start again because the Chinese were just flexing their firepower too soon in the game. You see, whenever I fight with an infantry regiment, because I try to fight like the Japanese, and the Japanese are not a very technologically advanced army, it's usually infantry probes. And it's slow, and it's methodical, and it can be costly, but the battalions are big enough that you can absorb the casualties and still win the day on the table. However, when I played that way with a Lloyd Infantry Regiment, it wasn't really enough to come on, and the Chinese mortars, and there was some for quite a few anti-tank weapons, if you remember from my introduction to this game, had a steep effect on the Japanese, had a very devastating effect on the Japanese, the first two Japanese infantry companies from each battalion. So I thought, no, I'm going to start again. So whereas with that infantry regiment, as I said, I would bring the whole lot on methodically, I thought, well, I had to go back to some of my books, because a Japanese Lloyd Infantry Regiment is its forward elements are obviously very mobile. So, and they're going to be there at the beginning of the game. So instead of bringing in my artillery with my infantry, I set my artillery up first, because generally this was an advance towards a prepared occupied position. And generally, when I've been playing lately, I've been prepared, both sides are already well established, and then the battle begins. So what I did with this is I established my artillery, my porty artillery, and my mortars first. And then I slowly advanced up the road with the armour that I had, and I took it a lot slower. Now, for many of you might be think who don't know, many of you be thinking, well, with that many tanks at them, how come that is as far as you got? How come you didn't do a coup de main straight down the street, the high street, and siege the station? Well, the reason I didn't do that is in rapid fire, tanks cannot advance to within 6 inches of defended infantry or infantry in defended positions. And this Chinese infantry took a hell of a long time to winkle out from this town, from Hei Fei. And if I hadn't had, the Japanese hadn't had the engineer company, I think you could have still swung the Chinese way. But the Chinese started to have been throwing morale tests since turn 4. So they have done well to get here. So it's a total Japanese victory. Just, you know, it's turn 6 and the Chinese have already collapsed. But it was, for me, it was just interesting, as I said, because I forgot how I should be playing with this army. And every army, you should try and play with it. Play it to the best of your ability in the way that the general used his force. And I forgot that here, and it would have cost me the game, so I restarted. Which is something you can do when you're a solo game player. But it was actually lucky that I did restart, because the next day I played the game with my friend Alistair. And it was a very good game. And I just finished it this afternoon. As I said, so this marks the end of the Suzhou campaign. And from now, we'll be looking at the Wuhan campaign and Wanjialing. Now, as you see, I had hard goes on the table, but they should have all been Otsus. But my mate Simon from Simon Soldiers, I've organised some new Otsus through him, so they'll be on the table because we're going to need some. It was a very good game. It also reminded me of something. Now, you see all the trucks on the table. This is the first time you as a viewer have seen that I have this amount of Japanese trucks. Yeah, actually, if you have a few more than this, because I always say to you, in a Japanese infantry division, there's no more than 200 trucks, so you don't need a lot of trucks for rapid fire. Now, I have a Lloyd infantry regiment, but you've been watching this channel now for nearly 6 years, and this is the first time I've actually used it as a Lloyd infantry regiment, instead of bits of it here and there. So, it begs the old question, as rapid fire players, do we really need all that transport? Well, I think of a lot of transport options. For instance, I've never put a field gun in position, and I have moved a field gun maybe once or twice in how many hundreds of games of rapid fire? Or maybe I've moved an anti-tank gun mid-game after firing. Maybe I've done that a dozen times. But it just goes to show you that you can have all the transport you want. You can have everything the game tells you to have for the OBs. But it doesn't mean that you're going to use it a lot. So always remember that. You know, when it comes... I mean, I should have... one day I'll show you my Japanese army. And you're going to be surprised how little and how limited my transport is for everything. Because I don't usually bother with trucks and tractors and things like that to move artillery. But today, it was a victory for the mainly artillery figures. Well, actually the old Eshi figures, the old Eshi Japanese infantry. They're mainly the figures. Beautiful figures. Oh, and then the airfix officer. Beautiful figures. So it was a really good game. I could have easily stuffed it up. And if I'd have been playing against an opponent or a club, I would have doomed myself within those first 2 moves as a Japanese player. So now that's the end of the Suzhou campaign. I'm going to go hopefully do my playlists. I do hope you enjoyed the campaign. Press like and subscribe. Give me some comments because that all helps with the algorithms. And one last look through the table at the equipment. And then we'll say goodbye. This Suzhou campaign has taught me a lot. And as I said before, this city falls and Suzhou falls because the Chinese put all their planning and equipment and effort into defeating the Japanese at Taiyuan. So when the Japanese after the Japanese were defeated Taiyuan, in that 5 to 6 weeks until this battle, no more supplies will be arriving for the 5th war zone and Lai Zhongguan's forces, because everything is going to Wuhan. Indeed, by the time this battle starts, supplies are low already. As we said, I've talked about all the casualties in the other video. If you want me, what am I going to say? Oh yeah, the combat cars are wrong too. It should be more tanks. Oh yeah, the Chinese side. You always get some guns and they just can't hit anything. I went the whole game, and this Type 13 37mm infantry gun didn't hit a bloody thing. I didn't hit much with the Madsen that we had in here. Yeah, it was a very Chinese didn't have much luck with any tank work today. All the Japanese had all the armor, all the artillery, and all the luck. Alright, see ya.